right, everyone, welcome back. Josh Beater and Alex Goldman today, joined very luckily by a returning guest here today, Lachlan Stitt, who fights for the Eternal Welterweight title this weekend. Firstly, Lockie, how you doing this afternoon, man?
Good, thank you guys. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, awesome. So, look, man, the first thing I want to ask you is, it's really, really easy for people in the sport sometimes to want to maybe rush their career. So get as many fights as they can, get to the UFC,
Yeah,
as soon as possible. But you seem to be a fighter that, obviously you want to get to the top as soon as you can, but you seem to be taking your time as well. So developing your skills, really kind of
yeah.
doing your career in a smart way. Is that something that was important for you when you first got into the sport to not sort of rush yourself to maybe get to the UFC before you're technically ready?
Yeah. Well, um, as people might know, you don't actually hit your prime till, your late 20s, sometimes maybe even, 30 to early 30s. So that was important for me, yeah, not to rush, not to rush for my career. Ideally, I would have wanted a couple more amateur fights, but we were struggling to really find any amateur opponents. And we're just kind of wasting time, waiting and waiting and waiting for guys to sort of fight as an amateur. So we made the decision to turn pro, and then it was great to have two fights in my first year as a pro with two wins, and then just trying to be smart about how we're doing things and the training. My training's been going great. Since I started in MMA in 2015. I've always trained smart. Pick good training partners and stuff like that. So I think we're doing my career pretty well. I'm lucky to have great coaches and great people around me that have been in the sport for 20 plus years. So it's great to have such good people around me.
Absolutely, man. Lockie, with your work at the moment, you're a Sparky, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I am as well. And what's
yeah,
funny is I think with mixed martial artists, there's a lot of guys in combat sports that are also Sparkies. I don't know if you know
yeah,
the BKFC. The BKFC heavyweight champion Mick Terrell, he's a Sparky. You got Josh
yeah,
Kulabau, he's also one. I think it's
yeah,
it's definitely it's obviously labor intensive, but what I want to know
yeah,
is sort of how these guys manage working and training and juggling the two, because you
yeah.
work a 40-hour week, it can be taxing on the body. You got a fight coming up, you got to take some days off, those sorts of things. How do you manage fight prep and that sort of stuff, and mix it in with work?
Yeah, no, good question. This year I've been lucky enough to buy my own vehicle to work out of, and sort of have my own, little sort of business and stuff like that, and I can just work
Nice.
for bigger companies. So that way I set my own hours and be able to train, in between, because obviously training is, the most important thing at the moment, and being able to, be have the qualification to be able to just sort of subcontract and work, 3 days a week has been great for my training, um, and also, pay bills and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
awesome.
sure.
What's up, guys? It's Josh here from the stands. And look, I know you're in the middle of a good little interview that we're currently doing, but I want to take a second of your time just to give a quick little shout out to today's sponsor, TrainAid. Obviously, they're big supporters of us, like we are of them. And today they're sponsoring this video. And look, I want to let you guys know about a little product they do. Their premium product, TrainAid Hydration. It's the best hydration formula on the market, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. And look, if you don't believe me, ask guys like Israel Adesanya, Alexander Volkanovski, Leon Edwards. You ever heard of these guys? I mean, they're the top athletes in the world. And they're all taking TrainAid Hydration. It really is the number one formula in the world for hydration. And in the summer months here in Australia, I mean, it's something that I think everyone should be taking. And TrainAid have been very nice to give us a discount code, a very healthy discount code as well. I mean, it's a nice little discount code. If you use the code FTS15 at the checkout, they will give you 15% off. We'll leave a link to their website in this description of this video. And yeah, check them out, guys. Please support them because they are supporting us. Cheers.
I want to know, man, you mentioned it earlier that, you've been, you've had very good training partners, having good sparring partners.
yeah,
as you've sort of grown in the sport, meaning as your name has sort of grown in the sport, have you had to become more selective, especially with your sparring partners? Because, I can imagine that, as you sort of, as your career sort of grows in infamy, you maybe get those guys that are 2 years, 3 years into their training, maybe go into sparring, maybe want to, get one over on the guy that has a name, maybe throw a little bit
Yeah.
harder, that kind of a thing. So have you had to become more selective with your sparring partners as you've progressed in your career?
Not really more selective. I think we have a good thing going, that we've always had, and that's the relationship with Gracie Smeaton Grange. Sparring with Rob Whitaker, Izzy Fizikefu, Jacob Malkoon. So we've got, great people to reach out, and they're always happy to help me with my camps. I help them with their camps and stuff like that as well. I have the crazy horse at Triple X Fight Academy, to be able to help me and stuff like that. So there's no real need to change things like that. Obviously, people try and sort of ask and stuff like that to do the rounds. There, we have to be a little bit selective. Just, obviously my training is important, and
Yeah.
in my camp is important. But we've always helped the guys, that have always helped me. So I think we have a good thing going.
Absolutely. And I know you did some training at Tiger Muay Thai. I think just before the last time we spoke to you, I remember
Yeah.
you'd been accepted to go and train there, and I think it was
Yeah.
a scholarship type deal.
Yeah.
How has it been training at Tiger Muay Thai? Obviously, very well renowned gym. Guys from boxing,
Yeah.
MMA, all walks of combat sports life are training there. How did you find the experience training there?
Great, man. Yeah, I love going over to Tiger. It's unreal. The intensity that they have over there is great. I was lucky enough to be awarded like a 12-month sort of sponsorship from them to be able to train there and be part of their fight team, which has been great. So when I go over there, I do their strength and conditioning with their fight team. The sparring, all the rounds and stuff is done with their pro fight team, and they have crazy intensity over there, man. And you mix that in with the heat that's over there as well. There's a reason why so many people do travel there from around the world, and you've got a whole room full of world champions, sambo, wrestling, Muay Thai, so many different styles all mixed together. So you've got an abundance of training partners there, which is great.
Mm.
Mm.
Kind of talking on training, Lachlan, I want to know what's been your biggest growth technically in the training room, whether that's, you feel like your jiu-jitsu has improved leaps and bounds, your wrestling, your striking, your feints. What's been your biggest growth technically? And for 2024, what are you next looking to really improve technically in the gym?
Well, I'm always looking to improve sort of everything, but I think in the last, 2 to 3 years, I've improved a lot more on my MMA and wrestling and the transition of striking to wrestling.
Yep.
Back in 2020, I fought a Dagestani Russian in the IMAF Oceanic Championship, and I lost to him. That was my only loss as an amateur, and that made me realize, feeling the pressure that he had. Hey, like, need to wrestle. You need to wrestle. A lot of people will say wrestling is MMA is 70% wrestling and 30% boxing. So, just picking up a bit more, and I haven't been able to showcase that my wrestling in my fights. So, I know what sort of style John is, and whether we're gonna strike or wrestle, we'll see where the fight goes. But I'm prepared, for that in every area.
Yeah, mate. And obviously, like we spoke about, you're back this weekend against John Vake fighting for the eternal welterweight title. A fight that I would imagine would mean a lot to you, considering the road you've had over the last year, and getting back to this point is a big one. And obviously, winning the eternal title always holds not so much a golden ticket, but it's definitely a good feather in the cap when the UFC comes calling. What would it mean to you, sort of winning that title after the year that's been?
Massive, yeah, huge. Since I started as a pro, getting signed by Eternal, that I've been eyeing off that belt, and as you said, I believe that belt is, something that you need to have before you just make that next step. Yeah, and I think Eternal, have a pretty big audience, and they run a good promotion, obviously with the Fight Pass thing and stuff like that, and that's the sort of belt that I want to hold and you know set the tone for my reign as champion in Eternal MMA.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you know, Josh sort of mentioned, you know, that having that Eternal title, not so much a golden ticket, but definitely a good feather in the cap for getting to the UFC. But
Absolutely.
let's say another organization were to come calling, let's say PFL one come calling, and let's say they're offering you, you know, a competitive deal to what the UFC could offer you. Would you be looking for the contract that has the most money, or for you, is it the UFC or nothing?
Honestly, I haven't looked past, you know, Eternal and John. So I've been focusing on, you know, getting this belt and stuff like that. And the one opportunity, you know, has been there with the Tiger Muay Thai relationship and stuff like that. But you know, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it, whether it is PFL, one, UFC. You know, there's another organization, Europe Octagon. They run quite a large promotion as well. So hey, when that opportunity comes, but all I'm focusing on at the moment is this Eternal belt, getting it wrapped around my waist.
Yeah. And lastly, mate, obviously a big time fight with John, you know, City Kickboxing, and they have a great team there and a great unit. The great training sessions, I'd imagine as well. What kind of fight are you envisioning this weekend, and how do you get the job done against John?
I think it's going to be a tough fight, man. That's what I've been saying all week. I think John's going to bring out the best in me. I think he's going to bring out something that people haven't seen before, and you know, I think John is a hard fighter to put away. I believe I have the power and the ability to do that. But it's not going to be easy. I haven't underestimated John at all. You know, he comes from a great gym, and I know he's going to come fully prepared. And I've done, you know, everything I can do to be just as prepared, just as ready, and get the job done.
Absolutely, mate. We wish you all the best, Lockie. It's a pleasure to talk to you again,
Thank
man.
you.
And you know, you're one of the guys that has worked your way back up to this point, and to see you get that title shot, I know it means a lot to you. We wish you all the best, man. Hope you can get it done, and all the best for the fight this weekend.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the support.
Thanks,
Awesome.
mate. Cheers.
Thank you, man.